Have you ever had a recruiter reach out to you about a job, but they won't tell you the name of the company? That is so annoying, right? Well, I'm a recruiter, and I've done that. And there are two reasons why recruiters do that. In today's video, I'm gonna tell you what those two reasons are and what you need to do to find out the name of the company. Let's go. Now, there are two main reasons, and I'm gonna talk about them one at a time. And the first one is it's because of how recruiting works in general from a third-party perspective and how they're paid. So essentially the way recruiting works when you're working with an outside recruiter, meaning they don't work for the company, but instead they are a third-party recruiter, an agency recruiter, a headhunter. Basically, they're hired by a company to go find them people. The way it works for the vast majority of the industry is that recruiter has what they call a contingent contract, meaning if they place the person in the organization will owe them a contingent fee, meaning a fee for finding the person. Sometimes it's called finder's fee. A lot of times it's 25% of first year's compensation, paid by the company, not the candidate. So if they place a candidate with a company and the role pays $100,000, that company 30 days after that person starts needs to pay the recruiter $25K. Now, if the recruiter is a solo practitioner, they get all that. Most recruiters work for a company and they get a small portion of that. So it's not like the recruiter is going to get 25 grand there. They're going to get a much smaller portion of that. Okay, so I said that, so why won't they tell you? Well, the reason they don't want to tell you is because in order for them to get paid, they need to establish candidate ownership. And in order to do that, they need to submit you. So if they were to send you an email and that email included the job, what's exciting about the job, and the company name, what they're afraid of is you will go to that website and you will apply. And if you do that, they're not going to get paid because the company will be like, well, you didn't submit them. They applied on their own. So that's what recruiters are trying to avoid. So if they call you, they get you on the phone, they talk through it, they get you to send you their resume, and then they submit you, they've established ownership, which means if the company ultimately hires you, they will get paid. And that's the first reason why they don't want to tell you. Now, the second reason they don't want to tell you is sometimes companies, they actually pay recruiters to do what they call confidential searches. A confidential search means that they're not going to post a job online, like on Indeed or LinkedIn or another third-party website. They're not going to tell people, but instead they're going to go out, find candidates saying, hey, I'm working on a role, it's confidential for a company, I think you'd be a good fit, etc. And they only tell you when the company has agreed they want to interview you. Okay, so why do they do that? Why do companies have confidential searches? Well, sometimes they don't want the team to know that they're hiring another person. Often they're also replacing a person. There's a person who is not doing their job well. They're looking to replace that person, but they don't want that to get out. They don't want that person to hear about it. They don't want the team to hear about it. So instead, they work with an agency to replace that person because they can't afford to have a period of time in which they don't have someone in the role. So they have the recruiter go and do a confidential search. And in that instance, the recruiter is going to be much more reticent to share the company name with you because it's confidential. Okay, so what do you need to do to find out the name? So first things first, most recruiters, if they email you and say, hey, I've got a job, and you email them back, okay, what's the company? They're not going to answer you. They're not going to do it. They're not going to give you the company name. So you need to agree to get on a phone call with them. What you want to do is jump on, have a conversation, answer questions they have, maybe ask a few questions. They go, I'm interested, but I want to make sure that it's a company that I'd be interested in moving to. The company is really important. The role sounds great, but I want to make sure it's an organization I feel comfortable joining. Can you share that with me? If you do, I won't go apply. It can be confidential between you and us. And if you do that, most recruiters at that point are going to share the name of the company with you. But they're not going to do it until, you've put a little skin in the game. You've invested time to connect with them. They don't want to just tell you the name of the company so that you can go and apply. And now it makes it much harder for them to actually achieve their objective and succeed at their actual job. Now, once you get into the interview process and you've interviewed a time or two with the company, it's really important to understand the flow of information and who you need to get what information from. If you need an update, do you ask the recruiter or do you ask the hiring manager? It can be really difficult to understand who the best person to go to is, which is why I made this video. This video here breaks it down situation by situation, who you should reach out to, because who you reach out to actually can make a huge difference. So I'm done here, but I will see you over there.